Hey, Caleb, how's it going?
Great. How are you?
Yeah, doing well, man. Your audio is really great and clear, fantastic, and we can see you fine. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself before we begin?
My name is Caleb Bench. My history is United States Marines for 6 years as an M1A1 tank crewman. I'm current law enforcement, and I'm doing obviously security on Skinwalker Ranch. And I've been involved here for about 5 years. I'm originally from Southeast Idaho. Grew up as a farm kid. Um, Went to college, studied history, mythology, things like that. So it's kind of interesting how everything's tied together.
Could you explain what Skinwalker Ranch is and what it's about?
Oh, if you can answer that question, you're a millionaire. Um, so Skinwalker Ranch, we've got a lot of history. We've got a lot of things going on with it. Um, so obviously there's a lot of stories from Native Americans, and that there's a curse on the ranch, and a lot of stories of, say, skinwalkers, or what other people would call werewolves. That type of story going on. And we also have a lot of stories of UFO type activity. We do have a lot of people claiming that they have seen things like a portal open and a craft coming out of it, specifically in the mesa where the ranch is located. We have a lot of people in the area that have experienced these types of stories, and they're very hesitant to talk about it. But there's so much there. It's really, we could talk about this for hours and still just brush the the like 1% of it.
So everything from werewolves to UFOs, if I'm hearing correctly, and
Yeah.
portals.
Yes.
Holy shit! What? How did this come to your attention?
So actually, I did not know that ranch even existed until I got a phone call from Thomas Winterton, the superintendent of the ranch, and he asking me to help with security. And it's my first day on the ranch was Halloween 2017. So I was out here watching the property and getting all these stories of people, from a massive canine kind of creature attacking cattle and being shot and being unaffected by uh, rounds from high caliber rifles, to stories of people going comatose and having these medical episodes where they can't communicate, they can't move, all these stories. And I'd never heard of this place before. I grew up watching Star Wars, Star Trek. I've always been a sci-fi fantasy kind of guy, like Lord of the Rings, Warhammer, things like that. So I've always been open to potential, mythologies and things like that. Um, and so, and within my first experience on the ranch where I actually physically had something happen was within 6 months, and wasn't like a real major thing. It was kind of small. It just made me go, "What the crap?" Kind of surprised me a little bit, but I did have some very big experiences happen within a year, and I can say that I've witnessed injuries. I've been I had a strange eye injury myself, and a lot of this is actually on our website, where we're trying to point people to. We're getting a lot of information out. We're trying to show that we're here observing. We're here interacting with something.
Could you take us through then what happened to you from the 6 month incident to the 1 year later incident?
So the the my injury, I got to think about how all this, because I've had a lot happen, and I want to make sure the timeline's right. So the first big thing that I had happen, I was by what's called Homestead 2, and we have a lot of activity here. If people are familiar with the series, and that's on History Channel, we've done a lot of experiments here. We've had things that we've caught on thermals. We've done a lot of experiments here, and we've caught things live on camera that are very interesting. So my first experience, I was at Homestead 2. I had two guests that I was out there with, and it was about 1:30 at night, and we had a light up here over Homestead 2, and it was really strange because the whole area lit up green, and there is dead of night. There was not a lot of weather, if I remember right. And it was almost like an illumination flare that we shoot off in the military where it lights everything up. But with those flares, you have flickering, you have, it's floating in the air and you can tell that it's rotating. You can do all this stuff. This light was constant. And this whole area was just green. There was no shadows. There was no deviation in the color. It was just this constant green, and this light's coming down, and I turn around and I see it going in between these trees that surround Homestead 2, or at least I think that's where it was. It could have been further back between the mesa and the trees, but this light goes in and it just disappears from sight. That was the first big experience that made me go, what the crap? And I was thinking, was that potentially, say, a firework or something? But the behavior, the things that the circumstances surrounding it, there was no sound. There was no anything that led me to believe that it was something that someone had set off. And then fast forward a little bit, and we have a team coming out to do some testing because we have these stories of individuals being hurt from radiation, and which Dr. Travis Taylor has had that happen and was caught live. We've experienced that. People have received injuries of that nature. And so we have this team come out to do all this testing before this even happened with Dr. Taylor. And I was, again, over by Homestead 2 on top of the mesa. We have an area there's a little hole up there, or a cave up on top. And we've had a lot of things happen there, specifically physical reactions. And it was a clear day, Monday or Tuesday afternoon. And my eye went dry real quick. And I thought I got dust or something in it for a second, but I had my sunglasses on. I had a hat. Again, I don't remember wind. I don't remember anything that really would have led to that. And 2 days later, I felt like my eye was being ripped out of my head. And we got a really good photo of this on the website, Skinwalker Ranch, skinwalker-ranch.com. And I go through this experience, and you can see the damage in the eye, and it's a perfect fan formation. And the eye doctor described it as there were these ripples across the surface of my eye, and they were centered in the middle of my eye and then expanding outward, like someone threw a pebble in some water and you see the ripples. And I've had all these experiences. Many of us on the team have had strange encounters or witnessed things. Probably the most crazy thing I've seen was Travis and I and the rest of the team. It was Tuesday night. We were barbecuing, kind of decompressing from the day, and I started hearing something behind me. The sound like electric popping or something, and I felt like I was being watched. And I get up and I feel like that sense, that sixth sense from being that you kind of grow as a law enforcement military, that like something's off, and you just feel uneasy. And I get up, and Travis is behind me, and I actually have my weapon drawn at this point, and I have a very bright light on it. And I walk around this trailer this abandoned trailer that's out here, and it's just outside the command center here. And we get to this about 20 to 30 feet from where there's this road that goes over the canal that goes across the property. And Travis actually sees it before me because I'm focused on where the point of my pistol is, make sure I'm not flagging anything and Travis freaks out and goes, excuse the language. He's like, holy shit, what the fuck is that? And I swing over and this is where the best way to describe this is I've responded to very intense situations, active fire or active shots fired, murder cases, things of that nature. And you get these adrenaline dumps and everything slows down and your mind starts eliminating things that aren't important. And what I see is this this rectangular object, and it's like shimmering. It has this very strange visual effect. And Travis and I are both seeing this, and across on the surface of this, it was like there was this paneling, if you will, and you can see my light come across it, a reflection of it, and then also this bright orb that comes across the surface of it. And as I'm watching this, I realize that's my gun light reflecting back at me, and I distinctly remember seeing two shadow figures in there, and going, and it took my mind like, what is that? Are those two other people? But then I realized that's Travis and I's reflection. And this is at 10 o'clock at night. It's dark out here. It was a really nice night. There was no wind. There was no weather. And this object just disappears. Like, there was no sound. It just vanishes in front of us. And the reason I'm very confident in actually even telling this story is because Travis was standing there next to me. And we went taking off after this. There was no sign. There was no tracks. There was nothing. And so I've literally seen things out here I can't explain. I don't know what that was. And it's, that's probably the craziest thing I've seen, but that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh my God, man, this is mind blowing. I mean, you come across someone who, can handle yourself in any situation. When it got to this kind of level of esoteric activity, did you start to shit yourself?
Maybe a little bit. It's just one of those things. Like I grew up in the LDS culture. I was never really active. A lot of my family was active in the church and things like that. So but I never was really in it until I had some other experiences, especially after my dad died. That was 10 years ago. I was 24. He was 45, passed away of cancer. That really hit me. I didn't have a good relationship with him. And so that kind of started me down on this road of more discovery, I guess, of myself and what I really believed. And it's just been a really interesting road. But I've always been open to, say, a higher power. And I've always, and growing up with the influences, again, Star Wars, things like that, I've always thought it'd be cool, aliens, things like that. And I've always been open to that, or extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them, and different dimensions. I don't know how that all ties together, but the personal experiences I've had show me that I do think there is something going on here that we don't understand. It's a journey. It's really exciting seeing all this stuff happen real time. I wish I had better answers for some of this stuff, but we have this hitchhiker effect that we talk about, and I think everyone on the team has experienced something with this. The most recent for me was actually just a couple weeks ago, and I after talking and having some retrospection, there was a lot of things going on with everybody on the team at this point, but I didn't know any of this. So I wake up about 1 o'clock in the morning, midnight, 1 o'clock, from a dead sleep, and I'm shaking from terror. I just remember having this dream or having this feeling that someone was inside the hallway looking in at either myself and my wife or my kids, and that they were there to kill me. And again, I've responded to some crazy active calls, and I've fought with people. I've done a lot, had a lot of experiences in my law enforcement and career. I've never felt anything like this before. And I know Travis and Eric have both told us stories where they've woken up from a dead sleep, having felt that level, where they felt like they were in fear for their life, and something was there to harm them at that level. And I experienced that myself just a couple of weeks ago. And that's, my wife and I both have multiple stories of things happening at our house off the ranch, and then things happening here on the ranch that just make you go, what the heck? And, there's a lot of those types of experiences are like circumstantial kind of things. But when you have 1,000 of those happen, you just you start losing your mind.
Well, that leads to my next question then. If Travis hadn't experienced these things, would you, looking back, have thought you had lost your mind?
Yeah. And that's what's, I think, really interesting is we're getting multiple people seeing this type of activity. Just this week we've had two pretty interesting things happen, and we have this live feed on the website that we're able to interact with people, because we want to be an open book with this. We want to get this out there, and we get a lot of questions of, is this real? There's the television show, and everything you're seeing on television show in regards to the experiments and these crazy things that we're seeing, that's all real. Obviously they have, this formula that they're using with the music and different things like that. But everything you're seeing that we're showing you is, as far as I can tell, real. I'm there. I'm a part of these experiments. I'm seeing these things happen real time.
So we've had tons of questions come in. We've only got 10 minutes left, so we'll try and get through these. So the first one then is, hi, Kaleb. Has there been any collaboration between your team and Bigelow's CIA team? That's from Easy E.
So the only interaction that I really know that's been pretty positive, I guess, with Bigelow seems very hard to get them to talk about anything. And I've never heard of a Bigelow CIA team. I know that Bigelow's team out here, Bass and some other programs have been out here, and we have had interactions with some of their scientists and things. But that's pretty foreign to me that there was even a CIA team that Bigelow was a part of.
Ray J has asked, regarding the phenomenon from the ranch following you home, is that a long way from Skinwalker Ranch?
It's about 15-20 minute drive. So I want to say it's 7 to 10 miles away as the crow flies.
All right, so here's another question. There's UFO tip up whilst they're filming. How does that feel? Whose are the non-registered helicopters that are watching your team?
So we've had military helicopters. We know they're military helicopters. They're coming from a direction that there's no military assets from that direction. We know the range of these helicopters, and they're coming from directions that they shouldn't be coming from. So, and we've actually shown that. We've got video of it. I have video of these on my phone and things like that. And we are catching things on our flight radar that we're watching of craft that are they raise questions of why they're there. And I wish I had better answers for some of that.
So Donna Bell wants to know if you feel that an entity could have possibly attached itself to you.
I've heard this kind of idea before, and I'm open to it. I do believe that I've had spiritual experiences here and off the ranch. Again, like I'm open to things like that and those types of discussions, and that's one of those things is I've used what I believe to be spiritual protection and things like that, and it has helped. I feel confident in saying that. Sorry.
Ray J's asked, are you aware of the Blind Frog Ranch near Skinwalker Ranch where there are mega magnetic anomalies?
I'm aware of Blind Frog Ranch, yes. They're not really connected to us in any way that I'm aware of. And I haven't really followed too much of what's going on with them. I'm just so focused, I guess, with what we're doing over here. I do know that and can say that our area, the Uinta Basin where the ranch is centrally located, does have a lot of things happen. I've had experiences as law enforcement where I've responded to, and other officers that I know have responded to unexplainable things. And I've had stories from BIA officers, deputies, telling me their experiences because they won't open up to other people. And I get that because law enforcement, your word is your job. I testified in a murder trial a couple of months ago. And our testimony is, again, our job. And so a lot of these, your law enforcement guys, when they're hesitant to talk about experiences because of what that could potentially do to their job.
Who built the ranch and for what purpose?
So we know that the earliest settlers, if you will, were early 1900s, and they built it just to farm, to just normal people coming out here trying to make a life. And that's Homestead 3. That's the furthest buildings on the property to the west of us, and then the second oldest is Homestead 2. I believe that was built in the 40s or 50s, sometime in there. And again, it was one of the roads the main road that comes through the ranch here was the main thoroughfare, actually, where people just drive down the road here. And Homestead 2 was actually being built as a homestead and farm and as a store. And so it was just people coming out here just trying to make a life.
Do you know about the history of land before the settlement? For example, could it be some kind of burial site there?
There has been that talk, and I've heard that there's potentially a burial site up on the mesa somewhere near to where the ranch is. I'm familiar with there was the conflict between the Ute tribe and the Navajo tribe for the Uinta Basin area. From my understanding, the Ute tribe allied with the U.S. Army to push the Navajo out, and they were then rewarded with the basin as their reservation. And so I know that I've looked into a lot of the history in the area. There was an area out here that was a big boom town because it's kind of funny. There was no jurisdiction for like 1 square mile, and this town popped up because everything went. You had your saloons, your whorehouses, all that stuff, and everybody would go there. The soldiers, the settlers, everybody would go there because there was no law and order in that one section. It was kind of funny, but there's been a lot of settler history. We've got stories of mines. The Spanish were up in this area mining. I've been told that there's by members of the tribe that they were enslaved by the Spanish, and they actually had to overthrow the Spanish. And there's a lot of gold mines up in this area, and there's a lot of history here in regards to like the American West. And prior to anything like this, to my knowledge. So, we could potentially have stories that have come down to us through hundreds of years of oral history.
Ray J has asked, is there any evidence the basin is a meteor impact site?
I think that's one of the theories that we have talked about a lot, and I want to say that there is some evidence that supports that. I want to say that we've found some material on the ranch that would tend to lean towards that. We've gotten some results back from tests showing potentially a meteor did land in the basin, and I don't know if it would be what caused it, because we do have a very interesting geography here. The Uinta Mountains north of the ranch are the only mountains in the continental U.S. that move east to west. Everything else is oriented south-north, the Rockies, essentially. So we do have some very interesting geography here.
Fred wants to know, are crops affected?
So this area isn't really a big farming area for, say, cash crops, grain, potatoes, or food crops. It's mostly cattle grazing, things like that. There is crops of hay or crops of like corn to feed the cattle. But I would say we have cases where cattle are affected. Obviously, we have questions about mutilations all the time. Again, as law enforcement, I've had other officers inform me of cases that they've taken and they've documented. And myself, I've not responded to an active mutilation case. I have responded to other strange calls where people are reporting like an orb, and they think it's a drone in their yard, and it's following them as they're walking through their house, and they have this light shining through their windows, and other officers have responded to these same types of calls. And so we're having all these experiences that people are reporting, but then, law enforcement, we're there to give answers. We're there because someone needs help, and they look to us to provide some kind of answer. And we want people to feel safe in their homes. We want to serve and protect people. And so we have, you try to come up with an explanation that makes sense. And I think that's when anybody sees something strange, you go, okay, what the heck did I just see? And we try to explain it away. And I get that. I that's one of those things that and I think that's what's really cool is we have a team out here that's willing to ask questions and be open to other explanations. And I think that's what we're really excited about. That is we're just trying to present what we're seeing and trying to make sense of it all. And again, I'm just really ecstatic to just even be a part of the experience and the journey, if you will.
What are some of the weirdest conspiracy theories surrounding the ranch?
Probably that there's a alien base 10 miles underneath the ranch, and that they're just sticking with us. Or that there's a government facility underneath the ranch. It's funny. One theory is that the Skinwalker Ranch is guarded by all these Marines out here, and I'm like, I'm right, I'm here, but like active duty Marines and stuff, no. We have any crazy theory like that you could think of, people connect it to the ranch, and that the government's running black programs, and which I guess I'm not seeing any of that out here. And things of that nature.
What about maintaining your duties there? I mean, have you had to rethought your occupation? Are your family pressuring you to get the hell out of there?
So Tom actually, I think, gave one of the best answers for this. The ranch is like the mafia. Once you're in it, you can't get out. You have these experiences, and like I said, we have these experiences that happen at our house, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. And we've talked to people who have visited to the ranch, and they'll never come back here because of something that happened. And it's also kind of one of those things where I'm not going to name names or anything like that because of their privacy and things like that. But I can tell you that there have been people who have been connected to the ranch that have experienced things at their home thousands of miles away on the East Coast. And these guys are top level scientists. These are top level individuals that they're keeping track of these experiences, and their families are being terrorized. And it's almost kind of one of those things where it's like, I'm not the kind of person to back down. I'm not the kind of person who's going to just take it in the shorts and walk away. You slap me in the face where it's on. You're getting planted in the ground. So, and I come out here with a very healthy respect for the ranch because, again, it's fascinating to me. I've experienced things. I've been injured. I've seen other people be injured. And it's something like, if that's affecting us here, why not other places? And if we can come up with something that might be able to help explain why people are having issues, I want to be a part of that. I want to help people. I'm in law enforcement. I was in the military. That's kind of, once it's in your blood, it's in your blood.
Wow, absolutely fascinating, Kaleb. We've run out of time. Can you tell the viewers where they can find you, support you, follow you, contact you?
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all under Kaleb Bench. Our website, I highly suggest go be a part of it. Skinwalker Ranch, skinwalker-ranch.com. We have a live feed there. We're interacting with people all the time. We've had crazy things happen where the insiders there are seeing it live and experiencing it, and they're helping with the investigation. It's been really exciting. I'm really excited about it. So go be a part of the investigation. Come see for yourself what's going on out here.
Wow, huge thank you for coming on, Kaleb. Wish you all the best.
Thank you for having me.
Can't wait to see what happens next over there. Cheers, my friend. Take care.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.